Hey guys, welcome back to Confident Canines. My shirt is so wrinkly. It's clean, I promise. But today, in this video, we're going to talk about whether or not an e-collar is right for your dog. This is slowly becoming my shtick to like wave my pen at the camera. Today we're going to talk about, is an e-collar right for your dog? The short answer is yes, it is. Unless you have a very young puppy, we're talking like 8 weeks up to like 16 weeks. Once they get to 20 weeks, 5 months, yes, an e-collar is right for your dog. Below that, 4 months, maybe. Below 4 months, no. But if you have an 8-week-old dog or a 12-week-old dog, an e-collar will be right for your dog shortly. So this is a very common question, a very common concern. I think because of the perception of remote collars, a lot of people still think of them as shock collars. Which some people still call them that. You can call it if you want. I think it's a misnomer because there's no electric shock being delivered to the dog. It doesn't shock your dog, so I don't think a shock collar is really the right terminology. But even still, they have this reputation as being a purely punitive device, maybe for very intense dogs or very, very bad dogs. So someone might say, well, I can see where a really aggressive dog should have a shock collar on or a remote collar on. But not my sweet little dog that just jumps on me and pulls me everywhere on the leash and and chews everything in my house. They don't need a shock collar or a remote collar because they're not a bad dog. And that's completely untrue. They're not for bad dogs. They're for all dogs. It is a communication device, particularly people who train the way we train with low-level remote collar training. It is a communication tool. It is a tool for training obedience. It is a tool for, yes, getting your dog to knock off bad behaviors if that's something that you're dealing with. It's a device for holding your dog accountable. It's a device for helping your dog calm down. It's a device for helping redirect your dog's attention in high distraction environments when you need them to refocus on you or on their job or on their training. So yeah, it's for everybody. I think a good way to put it is that a dog should come with a remote collar, because you need to be able to communicate with your dog effectively if you want to have a trained dog. You've got to be able to communicate with them, and I don't mean talking to them because they don't speak your language. They can learn a series of commands with thousands, hundreds of thousands of repetitions, but they don't speak English, and so you can't talk to your dog the way a lot of people just like to talk to their dog. They say, oh, he knows what I mean. He really doesn't, and at least it's not clear, concise, consistent communication, and that is what a remote collar is. It is clear because you're going to do a full training program with it, so you're going to make it absolutely clear to your dog what the stimulation means, how you want them to respond to it, and all that good stuff. It is clear because, again, your dog is very used to it. They know exactly what it means. It is very consistent. It is the same sensation every time. It never changes. It doesn't matter if you're holding it or your spouse is holding it or your neighbor's holding it or if I'm holding it or if the rock is holding it. It doesn't matter. It is consistent stimulation. The level does not change, of course, unless you change the level on the remote. But if it's at 20, it doesn't matter who's pressing that button. It's a 20. So it's very, very consistent no matter where you go, no matter what environment you're in or who's handling the dog. The sensation does not change. So it's very clear, very consistent, and very concise. And that's very, very important and very helpful. So this is kind of a video in response to those people who feel very on the fence about remote collar training their dog because they feel like if they put one on their dog, they're labeling their dog a bad dog. They are announcing to the world that my dog is so bad that I had to put this device on him, and look at my shame. And that's not the case at all. I can tell you, any dog, I mean, we train a lot of dogs who aren't aggressive here. We train dogs who are aggressive here, but we train a lot of dogs who aren't aggressive here as well. Everybody gets a remote collar. I can promise you, any dog that I get is going to be remote collar trained, even if they're, from a puppy. As soon as they hit, 4 or 5 months, they're going to be remote collar trained. So it is absolutely appropriate for any dog, any age, any behavior, anything. It is a fantastic tool. and you should absolutely give it a chance. Now, you should, educate yourself on YouTube or something like that, probably just YouTube. Or you should seek out a qualified trainer to help you do this. You cannot just put it on your dog and start pushing buttons. There's a whole lot of training that goes into it, all kinds of protocols, all kinds of repetitions and proofing scenarios that need to be done before you can just take your dog off leash or take your dog to a really high distraction environment and start using the tool. So it's not magic, but it is a great tool. So is it right for you? Yes, it is. You should get one, and you should start training with it as soon as you feel ready, as soon as you feel you're educated enough, or you've sought out a trainer. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.